Hi, Dr. Ian here. Today I want to talk to you about pork. So many people love bacon and pork chops, but you need to understand the physiology, or I should say the unique physiology that pigs have. Number one, they eat anything. They're like a garbage machine. They eat literally anything. And the problem with that is their digestive tract is different, like compared to a cow, for instance. Pigs digest food within a 4-hour period of time, which is quite short compared to a cow, where cows digest over a 12-hour period of time. So you want to have a longer digestive period to allow the body to filter out the toxins within the body. In addition to that, pigs don't sweat very much, and sweat glands are very, very important to detoxify all the garbage out of the body. So if pigs are eating all this garbage and they're not able to secrete out and detoxify all these toxins, then guess what? It gets stored in their fat cells. And of course, pigs have no shortage of fat cells that gets stored in there, and we end up eating it. Especially if it's a non-organic type of product, then it's really bad news in regards to bringing in those types of toxins into our body. Pigs are also a host for different types of parasites and bacteria, a lot of antibiotic resistant type of bacteria and microorganisms reside in pigs, so they're very much a dirty animal. Sure, you can buy organic type pigs or grass-fed pigs that are healthier in nature, and if you're going to eat pork, that's what I definitely recommend. It has to be organic in nature, but just understand the process and the physiology and the uniqueness when it comes to pigs and compared to other types of animals. There are more beneficial meats to eat versus eating pork.
I was looking at the science. I found a 2013 consumer report that discussed how 69% of raw pork samples were contaminated with a number of different bacteria and parasites, particularly very high in Yersinia enterocolitica, which is a really bad parasite to get. It causes a lot of GI stress, so gastrointestinal stress, diarrhea. I mean, a lot of reports of people die all over the world with this sort of infection. And so it's very, very hazardous. Also, on top of that, you know, pigs are known to carry tapeworms, which, believe it or not, very, very common. And once we get tapeworms in our system, they're very hard to eliminate. I work with a lot of clients using parasite protocols in order to help eliminate these things, but it's very challenging in order to do that. Parasites will reduce your immune system and put chronic stress on your body. A lot of these people with parasite infections, they don't sleep well at night because parasites stimulate stress hormones at night. If stress hormones go up, the individual doesn't sleep well. In fact, that's one of the signs that you may have a parasite is, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, all of a sudden you're wired, right? And you just can't fall asleep. You struggle to fall asleep no matter how hard you try. That is actually a sign, right, that a well-versed clinician will say, possibly there could be a parasite playing a role here. And pork is one of the biggest carriers of parasites. So, you know, we look at the science, it just shows that we've got all these parasites in the animal products. And now we can cook, and we can try to really cook it at a high temperature to kill off as many of these parasites as possible. And that's definitely effective to a degree. But some of the parasites are actually so virulent, and they're so resistant that they can survive even high heat. So, so an animal like pork, again, not a whole lot of vital nutrients that we can't get, really no vital nutrients that we can't get from other animals like lamb, grass-fed beef, consuming bison or wild game, wild-caught fish. We get a much greater nutrient value out of those animals, right, and consuming those than we would out of pork. And then with pork, we're also taking in a high risk for parasites and then other environmental chemicals and toxins as well. But when we barbecue or we cook at a really, really high temperature, we actually cause a number of carcinogenic chemicals, particularly things like heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And these polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PACHs, that's produced when we're, in a sense, when we're smoking the meat, right? So the smoke aspect produces these PACHs, which are known carcinogens, right? So they really increase our risk of developing cancer. And then heterocyclic amines, so whenever you've got blackened spots on your meat, that's a buildup of heterocyclic amines, which are basically proteins that have been broken down in a certain fashion, and they become really potent free radicals that cause a lot of oxidative stress and tissue damage in our body. So clearly we don't want that. And then also the carbohydrate in the muscle meat gets burned up and it produces something called acrylamide, which is another carcinogen. So you got 3 of the most potent carcinogens that you are actually producing when you barbecue something. So I'm not a big fan of barbecuing at a really high temperature any sort of meat. And so when we try to do that with pork, we're obviously going to cause problems.
Consumer Reports is ringing alarm bells this morning over pork safety. A new study shows chops and ground pork may be full of bad bacteria. Jim Axelrod is here with the story. Jim, good morning.
Well, good morning, Nora. A whole host of foodborne illnesses is caused by these bacteria. We're talking about stomach aches, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, even in the most extreme cases, death. But Consumer Reports says bacteria are not the only thing pork eaters should be worried about.
For years, pork has been promoted by the industry as a healthy food option, the other white meat.
Dinner's ready.
But a new report suggests otherwise.
We found potentially harmful bacteria on most of the samples of pork that we tested. One organism we looked at, Enterococcus, is more a measure of filth indication, maybe fecal contamination.
Of nearly 200 pork samples tested by Consumer Reports, many tested positive for salmonella, listeria, staph bacteria. The magazine says a whopping 69% contained Yersinia, which infects nearly 100,000 Americans every year. Children are especially vulnerable.
You always expect to find some bacteria in any meat product, but those are usually harmless. And I think the real surprise here was to find so many potentially disease-causing bacteria.
Even more, 90% of the bacteria Consumer Reports found were said to be resistant to antibiotics.